A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine, guys. Today we are doing a fan Q&A session, and that is what it's all about today. And I think that we also need to just mention as well that there were some excellent performances today in the One Day Cup in the Titans versus Northwest match, particularly from two young players who really put on a great show with a bat, namely Mikael Prince, who we recently interviewed on the channel, as well as Deval Brevis, who got his list A ton. Yeah, this is his debut. It is not his debut, but sorry, it's his maiden list A ton. And I think it was worthwhile to mention it, but also to mention Mikhail's performance as well, given that we did interview him recently. So I think it was something that we needed to just highlight as well before we get into the Q&A session with you guys, asking me questions about anything basically, mainly cricket. It normally turns out to be mainly cricket, but you guys generally do ask me some good questions in the live chat. And I think we're also going to react to Kagiso Rabada's press conference. I think I'll start off with that today, where we go over what he had to say in the press conference after the game yesterday, after that massive victory against Australia, which we are still all probably really happy about and still celebrating at the moment. But obviously, you need to move on from that and then go on to the next game and try to win the next one. So those are the two things that I really want to. Those are the couple of things that I really want to speak about today. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things that I'd like you guys to please do. First and foremost, please subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to also subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. All the issues are 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen right now as well as in the description. If you want to support us in everything that we do here at Cricket Fanatics Magazine, then become a patron today. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Smash the like button, comment, and share, and go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. So, without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. I'm looking forward to discussing this with you guys. And welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show fan Q&A session. I'm your host Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket, but I also answer your questions in the live chat. So let's get straight into today's video. I'm first going to go through some of the main topics. Something that I think it needs to be done is a reaction to Kagiso Rabada's press conference after that great performance against Australia. It is someone that I really wanted to hear about and hear from, of course, because it's not often that we get a press conference with Kagiso Rabada in general. So it's good to hear what he has to say, particularly after a great performance, because a lot of us were very worried about how he is going to perform in this particular tournament. And yesterday was the day that he really stood up against a top Australia side, even though they're not in the best of form. And he really put on a great performance. So let's hear what the media had to ask Kagiso Rabada, and let's react to that first and foremost.
You've had a controversial evening. It's not your fault. But how do you keep your focus and bowl as well as you did when all this craziness is going on around you?
I guess it's just about focusing on the next ball. Really, that's what it is. And we just go by what decisions the umpires make, and what decisions that, the technology influence.
KG, when you hit Steve Smith's pad, it didn't really look like you guys were convinced. Just what was your initial thought, and what did you think when you saw it was hitting?
Well, I was hoping for umpire's call. I felt as if it just skidded through, didn't really bounce much, and as you know, Steve, he walks across his stumps. That's just his trigger, and it just from my angle and from Quinny's angle, it looked quite good, and we decided to go up. And yeah, I mean, the technology favored us today, but I thought it was close. I don't think it was as obvious as missing.
Interesting.
KG, that wicket obviously was really important in that it opened up the middle order, and you've got a bit of a history with Steve Smith. Just how important was it for you to get that and to know, like, okay, we're in there now?
Yes, I think he was looking good. He was moving really well, you could see. And he's a key player for Australia. He really binds that team together, that batting lineup together. And he's always a key wicket in any format. But looking at one-day cricket, he has the ability to occupy the crease and also, you know, score runs whilst doing so. So he was definitely a big wicket, and we knew we had to get him early.
Koji, after the Stoinis dismissal, which I think confused everybody, there seemed to be quite a lot of discussion on the field between you guys and maybe even involving the Australians. What was that about? Was there any suggestion that the appeal should be withdrawn, or what was the talk about?
Well, I initially thought it hit his thigh pad, and my teammates around me felt that they heard a woody sound. And you know, Stoyan didn't look so convincing. I think he looked as if he felt as if he touched it. I guess the controversy was around the fact that his hand was off the bat when the ball made contact with his glove. But we thought there was the bat handle. Again, that's not up to us. We reviewed it, and the umpires made a decision.
Yeah, and I thought that too, guys. Like when I looked at it, certain still shots, it seems like it hit the bottom of his hand as it was coming off the bat, as he was coming off the handle. But then when I looked at the replays on TV, not the still shots that were posted on social media, the replay on TV, it looked like it hit the handle, and it definitely hit something. So that was a bit of a confusion on the field, but at the end of the day, the umpires made the decision. It almost feels like VAR every week, guys. those particular decisions. It's almost like VAR. How VAR has been in the Premier League recently. They're horrendous. But I mean, it was a close call, and the umpires made the decision. And I don't think it would have really, made a massive difference either way. South Africa were all over Australia, and they had no answers for us.
No, I don't think we can withdraw the appeal. That wouldn't make sense. Oh, no, they didn't.
Hi. This South African team have played at two venues which were considered substandard during the IPL. So are you surprised by the quality of pitches that have come up, and both the places you have, built up record scores?
Yeah, in Delhi there was quite a decent amount of grass coverage, and that certainly meant that the pitch would, hold together for a longer time, which means it would stay true. And that was the case in Delhi. It was flat in Delhi, and today, judging on how the pitches played here in the IPL, there was one that was really dry and another that looks similar to what this one was like. And the word around is that they have relayed the pitches. I don't know how they've done that, whether they've added more grass, I'm not too sure, but it certainly looks that way. And today under lights it just seemed to just zip that extra bit more, but the word during the day was that it had a bit of pace in it and a bit of bounce in it. And I guess with a bit of the moisture at night, it just did a bit more.
KG, two-pronged question. Firstly, after the Sri Lanka game, there were a few people saying that, even the batting was good, the bowling conceded quite a few runs. And tonight you guys came out and really you were clinical from the start. Was that sort of part of the motivation that you guys feel that you can do better? And the second one is just why aren't you opening the bowling anymore?
The fact that we're not opening I'm not opening the bowling was a team decision, and whoever's opening the bowling will be trusted to do so. It's a calculated decision. Any one of us can fulfill any role, so it could change moving forward. But for now, that's the combination that we went with. And I guess looking at every game, there's always areas to improve. We were cognizant of the fact that we did slack off in certain areas in the previous game, acknowledging the fact that it was a very true wicket and a small ground. But there will always be areas to improve in the game of cricket. But we'll do our analysis and we'll see how we want to move forward.
And that is something that I'm happy about, because it's always good to see that when there is room for improvement, that improvements do happen. And I think I was thinking that maybe we were going to see more clinical performances maybe after as the tournament goes on, a little bit later on in the tournament, we'd see them at their best. And I think that's still true to happen. I didn't expect so much to change from the first game to the second game, that there would be so much improvement in the accuracy and the consistency with the lines and lengths. That there was a massive improvement from the first game to the second game, and I think that is hats off to Eric Simons and the bowling and the coaching staff for making sure, and the bowlers as well, for taking whatever has been taught to them or told to them, taking it in, and then upping their ability with the ball in hand. I thought it was a brilliant bowling performance yesterday, and they need to have all the credit for that, because 311, it was a good total, but a lot of us thought that maybe we should get 330, 340, maybe even 350 on that pitch. Some of us were talking about that, and some of the fans were thinking that. Even Stoinis, I think it was Stoinis or one of the Australians, no, Glenn Maxwell, sorry. After the bowling performance from Australia, Glenn Maxwell was saying that he thought that would be the 350 pitch. So a great performance by the bowlers, and I think that they really stood up to the challenge, and they improved a hell of a lot from the first game, and I think that deserves some credit.
KG, without putting the carriage before the horse, actually, in front of the horse, do you believe that overall this is a statement win actually for you guys, just in terms of getting momentum and going on with it and running with it?
We're just looking to play our best cricket whenever we play a game. We're not worried about what statements we're making. We're only worried about the plans that we want to execute.
Brilliant, KG, because that's exactly what I'm asking, and I'm sure a lot of us fans on Cricket Fanatics magazine feel the same way. We've been saying it over and over again that we just need to take it one step at a time, one game at a time. We must focus on what we are good at and try to do the best, and try to be the best at those particular things. If we can do that, we will beat most teams, I believe. So that's something that South Africa needs to do, because I know that when we lose a little bit of focus and worry too much about the opposition and overthink things, we allow games to slip away from us. So this particular unit so far, they focused on what they can do and try to do it as best as possible, and that should be the focus on their own game. Because if they can do that, then I think we put on a competitive performance every single game that we play during this World Cup. I don't want us to start thinking too much about the opposition, because then it's easy for thoughts to creep into the mind of underestimating teams, or overestimating teams can also be a bad thing. So the main thing is to focus on the plans and trying to execute them as best as possible, game by game.
KG, just on that, I mean, South Africa have done so well in these last two games that people are starting to now talk about you guys as you know, one of the favorites for the semis, etc. Do you feel that yet, or are you still just like flying under the radar a bit?
We're still a long way away, but there are plenty of positives to take into consideration, or to take. So that's a good thing. But we're looking to rock up the next game. Like I said, we'll see how we feel we want to improve, look at our strengths, look at our weaknesses, and look to brush up. But generally, I think we played nearly the perfect game of cricket. So it's just about leaving this behind. Once we leave that behind and focus on the next game, that's it.
Okay, so apologies if this was asked earlier, but what did you take from the Australian bowling innings there? It looked like all three quicks, tried a lot of cutters early on into the surface.
Australia, a quality bowling outfit. It's always nice to watch, and they've been doing it for years, this trio. I thought they bowled really well, but our batters absorbed the pressure and then transferred it when it was time to transfer the pressure. It was never going to be easy, and it certainly wasn't easy for our batters. It's always a stiff challenge against Australia, and we enjoy it.
Okay, thank you very much, KG. Yeah, so some great points there. I obviously stopped the video and spoke about the important factors when it comes to that. Next on the list is, I want to just say, well done to BREVIS. Today, the Titans played Northwest in the One Day Cup, and BREVIS kind of stood alone in this match and scored 100. Him and Matthew Kleinveld put on a good partnership, but it was Deelwald really that stood out. The rest of the team didn't do that well. The only double-digit score was the highest double-digit score after Kleinveld, who got 47, was Dayan Khalim, who got 15, and Aaron Pangiso, who got 13. The rest of the team didn't do so well. Donovan Ferreira got a duck. He was set up beautifully by Kelvin Manguru. Coleman Bosch only got 5 of 11. Junior Dala got 0. And Tlali Bukaku got 0. And Aaron Pungisa, like I mentioned earlier, got 13. But BREVIS got 178 balls, 12 fours and 4 sixes. I watched the entire innings. Some brilliant shots. There was some beautiful stroke play by him. He really played extremely well, in my opinion. He really showed maturity while his team wasn't doing, was really literally falling around him. And he got that 100 that we've been waiting for him to get in List A cricket, because it's his maiden List A 100. He's had one in T20s, and now he's got one in List A cricket. Now it's just about getting more consistency. The interesting thing that we probably can read into, or we shouldn't read into, but the fact that he was moved, he was struggling a bit as an opener for the Titans in his first couple of games. He was losing his wicket quite cheaply, and struggling a little bit with the shorter delivery. But today they moved him to 3, and he got 100. So I mean, that should tell us something, because when he was playing in the Under-19 World Cup, where he was top scorer of all time in the Under-19 World Cup, he was playing at 3. When he played in the T20s for the Titans, when he scored that century in the T20 game, he was opening. Now again, he was batting at 3 when he got 100 in List A cricket. So maybe in List A cricket, the right move for BREVIS is for him to bat at 3. So I feel probably thinks he's more comfortable. So a great performance from him. But after he lost his wicket, there was a total collapse ultimately in the match. So really good bowling from Kerwin Manguru. Michal Pretorius bowled really well. Dwan Jansen got 1 for 43. Senator Mutasami got 2 wickets for 46. Glompi Mandekwane got 1 for 33. And Ruan de Swart got 1 for 15 in 3 overs. So overall, a very good bowling performance towards the end, because they skittled the Titans for 207 on a wicket that looked pretty decent for batting. Because after Deelwald, it was 168 for 4 when Deelwald lost his wicket. and then they ended up with 207 all out, which is quite phenomenal that they collapsed that much. Um, then Northwest came into bat, and it was Lesego Senokwani who batted beautifully today. 52 or 47, 7 4s and 2 6s. Him and Mikhail Prince really put the runs on the board. Mikhail Prince was brilliant as well. 89 of 78, 11 4s and 3 6s. He was dominant and mature in his batting approach. Unfortunately, he did swing a little bit and got stumped when it wasn't really necessary. He could have seen the team home and get another century in this tournament. But he left it to Rainer van Tonde and Vian Libbe to finish off the game. 32 of 41 and 15 of 20. They finished off the game. They got 208 in 31 overs. So it showed how good the batting wicket actually was today. So that was something that I think was worth mentioning. I was also watching the game between Bangladesh and New Zealand, which was an interesting game as well. But New Zealand in the end won it quite convincingly by 8 wickets. So New Zealand continuing their streak. This game was in Chennai, where South Africa was probably going to play Pakistan. South Africa's going to play Pakistan, and the wicket looked quite bouncy when I had a look at it. But it does seem like it is a good batting wicket. But it seemed also like it takes like South Africa's patient approach would work on that Chennai wicket. So I think guys like Temba and Rassi are going to be very important in that Chennai game. I think that the surface suits their type of batting and their style of batting. Quinny's also, if Quinny adapts his game that he has been adapting recently, where he's trying to bat as deep as possible, then it could be a good wicket for him as well. So yeah, that's just a summary of everything that I wanted to say ahead of the show. Let me get into the live chat and see what you guys have to say. Paul Terry saying great talent. I'm assuming you're talking about Brevis. Kani says, I would like to see picking players based on conditions and opposition rather than going with the set 11. But that's exactly what we are doing, Kani. We are picking according to the conditions. That's exactly what we're doing. Gerald should play against England, Bangladesh at Mumbai, India at Kolkata, Afghanistan at Ahmedabad instead of Shamsi. Well, it depends on the conditions, though. If we're going to play two spinners, I don't know why people are so quick to drop Shamsi. I know people like Gerald Coetzee. He's still young. He's not as consistent as we'd like quite yet. But the question about him, the questions about Shamsi, I don't think that is fair. If it's spinning wickets, you have to play your two spinners. It's as simple as that. This is Temba's third ICC tournament, and as a batter, he did nothing for us in ICC tournaments. We as fans expect some contributions from him. Yeah, we do, and I'm sure it will come. We need to be positive about it and back him as much as we can, and the results will come. Yeah, I mean, I'm not disappointed with his performances so far, really. Other than that, the fact that he didn't, I mean, he got a really good delivery in the first game. That I think most batters would have went out to that delivery, and in the second game he tried to up the ante and then lost his wicket. So he looked good for that 35. So I'm hoping, and he looked good in the first game too until he got that peach of a delivery. So I'm expecting a good performances from Temba to come, and I think it will. Suraj is Dewald, Brevis, Donovan Ferreira, Tristan Stubbs are the future superstars of South African cricket. And really excited to see them in one batting lineup. Yeah, I think we need to give Dewald a full season, and then we can decide what we're going to do with him. I would have liked 2 seasons from him of consistent batting in the List A cricket before we start picking him in the List A. Because there has been a lot of other players toiling away in domestic cricket consistently in this game that deserve opportunities as well. Shamsi should not play, especially against India. His record against India is very, very poor, says Suraj Campbell. It's irrelevant. It's a World Cup. Kani well said Gerald Coetzee should play, especially against all Asian teams. We'll have to see what the wickets dish up as well is also very important. We need to play our best 11 according to the conditions, and then just do what we do well. the Asian teams, yes, they are more familiar with spin, but they're not. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's impossible for them to to that it's impossible for them to face to. I mean, it doesn't mean that they have a superpower against spin. I mean, ultimately, when you look at these games, and I understand that maybe Bangladesh, for example, they struggle against pure pace, consistent pure pace. But Mitch Santner bowled really well today, and Glenn Phillips bowled really well today against this Bangladesh team, and they both got a wicket. Now, I know that Matt Henry, Trent Boult, and Lockie Ferguson really did well, but on this particular pitch in Chennai, the fast bowlers were good. If the pitch doesn't really offer much for fast bowlers, it would be ridiculous to play someone like Gerald, because the pace is just going to be his downfall then in those matches. It all depends on what the conditions are. Really, it does. We should be careful against, but it's also a good chance to give some game time to Riza Andile and Lazard. I'm very cautious to want to rotate in a World Cup. I think if a player is feeling a little fatigued, or they are feeling like they're losing energy, then by all means, give that guy a rest and play someone else. But if the player is up for it and he's feeling good and he's feeling fit and he's feeling in form, cricket's a very funny game. You know, you can, in like that, you're out of form. So you need to take advantage of that form when you can, as much as you can. When there's an opportunity on the cards to try and continue momentum and score, you need to go out there and score. I'd only rotate if there's someone was feeling a little bit tired, or they were feeling a little bit or they felt like they need to have a rest, or if there's a niggle. That's the only time I'd actually make a change. We need to believe that these players are professional enough to be able to tell the coaches and communicate with the coaches and say, look here, coach, I don't think I should play in this match. Give me a rest. Congratulations to the boys for a great all-round play. Big to Deerwoud, BREVIS 2. Yeah, we need to also just hold our horses with our younger players. We shouldn't get too ahead of ourselves with certain young players. We need to give them the time to develop and really grow their games. South Africa should not take Netherlands lightly, because in the World Cup, any team can upset any team on the day. Should play best cricket. Yes, I agree with that, and that's what I said on yesterday's show. My future top 7: Ryan Rickelton, Dezorzi, Mikael Prince, Deva Brevis, Markram, Tristan Stubbs, Donovan Ferreira, Dean Forrester or Matthew Post, Marco Jansen. I think Dean Forrester needs a couple of a run in the Division 1 first, before we start picking him in the Proteas team. I don't know how far in the future you were looking at over here, Siraj, but just because a player does well for a little while doesn't mean automatically they should be in the Proteas team. They need to prove that they deserve to be there. We can't just dish out debuts like changing underwear. Ahmed Sams, I have to acknowledge that Australia dealt with decisions in a professional manner, even if unsatisfied. I remember Kohli blaming SuperSport, thinking that his DRS is not independent. Siraj says Australia should open with David Warner and Mandus Lapaskhani and should shift Mitchell Marsh at fourth batting position. It will give Australia stability and firepower at the middle order. Shamsi should not play against India. Could see a good fit with his pace. I wouldn't drop Shamsi if the wicket's turning. So much negativity about Shamsi. People see some matches where a bowler goes for runs and label him as bad. Even Tahir went for runs in patches, but was our weapon when others were struggling. 100%. You spot on there, Ahmed. In which match DB scored 100 today, please? In the list day match against Northwest. South Africa should play like this freely, should not expect too much, because expectations gives you fear to a failure, which is always gives bad results in big moments, especially in ICC events. They need to focus on their game by game, focus on what they do best and try to execute it. consistently. Lawrence says there's a huge difference in finger spin and wrist spin. The former gives you more control, while the latter is more attacking and more of a wicket taking option. Shamsi doesn't get the credit he deserves. I've been saying this for a very long time. Shamsi doesn't. We need to stop comparing wrist spinners with finger spinners. That's a completely two different disciplines. It's like comparing a swing bowler to a medium pacer. Or it's not the same thing at all. You're a swing bowler to a outright quick. It's not the same thing. If you're quick and you can swing the ball, then great. But there are a lot of swing bowlers that are not very quick. But so if someone's quick and bowl 135 and one is a full out pace bowler that can't swing the ball, you can't compare the two. They're completely two different players that offer different things. It's like comparing a finisher to an opener. They're not the same. They don't face the same. They don't bowl in the same periods in the match. They don't offer the same amount of pressure. They don't complement every single bowler. There are certain batters that struggle against wrist more than they struggle against finger spin. There's a reason for that. That's why they are different disciplines. You get specialists that are wrist spinners and you get specialists that are finger spinners. We shouldn't compare the two. It's crazy that people do that. It's not all, it's not all white or black. Cricket doesn't work that way. I remember Tahir getting big fishes from Pakistan, India, and Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka lost the 2015 quarterfinal with 4 from Dumini. Lawrence, Asian teams play spin well. That's why, especially against India, Sharma record is poor because India face spinners like Jadeja, Ashwin, Kuldeep Yadav. So facing Sharma is not a problem. I don't agree with that one at all. Actually, if you're going to tell me that Indian players have never failed to spin, then I don't actually see the difference between 1, 2, and 3. To be honest, how many times do we see the number 3 in at the first over? If we're being honest, where in the middle order does DB bat for SA? Markram, Klaasen, and Miller. Yeah, that's true. I've also thought about that when it comes to an opening batter. I think it's a mentality thing more. It's facing that first opening ball of the game. That's the issue. And I think that coming at 3 just calms your nerves a little bit more than when you're facing the first delivery or the first over. Ahmed Shams, where I mentioned black or white, I just say that Shams' record is poor against India. That's the reality. Why put racial things? No, he wasn't saying racial things. He said cricket is not black or white. Like cricket isn't just as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. That's ultimately what he's trying to say. He wasn't talking about race. You misunderstood. It's not about color of a person. It's a way of saying. Yeah. We will come on versus the Dutch, says Dex. Quinny. Australia drops 3 catches of Temba Bafuma. People saying Shamsi shouldn't play against India or Pakistan. We know the deck will turn square when we play India. So what will be harder to face, spin or seam? 4 seamers against India and they will feast. Exactly. It's about the conditions. We need to play the conditions. I would like Temba to let Aiden bowl. Marco can't bowl 10 overs. Dex, you don't have to tell me to look at your comments. I will get to them when I get to them. I don't ignore people's comments on purpose. So you don't have to ask me to take your comment. I will do so. Williams is a legendary captain. He always guides his team and always plays a good under pressure. I love the way he thinks about the game. I like his personality. I like a lot of things about Kane Williamson. He plays the game in the right spirit. He's extremely classy. So, yeah, great player. I know majority of fans want to see Linda instead of Shamsi, but just because Linda wasn't selected doesn't mean you should hate on Shamsi. Support who's on the park and in the squad. 100% Lawrence hit the nail on the head. South Africa should play with their best 11, should not make changes unnecessarily because after all players getting rest because after every match there are the off days as well. But Suraj Campbell, that goes completely opposite to what you were saying. Our best 11 is the 11 that played yesterday. So then, by that logic of what you are saying, then we should pick that team. the best 11, which was yesterday's team. Harley, brother, when are you going to bring David Bedington in the show? Is he in contention for the New Zealand tour? I've been in contact with David. We were going to bring him on today, but he asked if he can reschedule. So we might chat because there's going to be games and stuff that he has to play in. We might chat after the semifinals or just before. Oh no, sorry, after the last game of the rounds before the semifinals. That's where we'll try to get David on then. Dalstein was a gifted bowler. He had express pace with great swing. Yes, he did. Harley Pros, any chance of bringing Hashim Amla in the show in the future? I've tried, guys. I've tried to bring Hashim Amla on the show. It's been really difficult. I'll try again because now he's the coach. He's a Lions coach. So I'll try again. I'm Lions batting coach. So I'll try again and see if he's willing to talk. But I've tried before plenty of times to try and get him on the show. He's declined it. He's declined a couple of interviews with me. I think he's the only person that I haven't interviewed actually from the previous Proteas, from that era. Khalid, remember that Williamson innings versus SA at the Cricket World Cup 19? That was where I took note of him. World-class batter, huge confidence injection for New Zealand with him fit and scoring runs, 100%. Yeah, so that is that. Very interesting, massive match tomorrow. I think India versus Pakistan, big game. Going to be very interesting to see how these teams go against each other. It's something that it's going to be an interesting clash. Andila could not defend runs against New Zealand in last over. Any more questions, guys? If there's no more questions, I think I've went through everything that we can today. There isn't much more news or anything groundbreaking to really talk about. Ultimately, I've covered everything from a news perspective that has come out today. There hasn't really been much breaking news in the there hasn't really been much breaking news today with regards to anything from a South African perspective. I'm so proud of the guys at the moment and the way they're playing. Really am. How SA managed Chennai pitch against Pakistan? Yeah, I spoke about it a little bit earlier. The Chennai pitch was strange today. There was a lot of bounce in this wicket. So we're going to have to look at the wicket. But I think these wickets that have been relayed, etc., and I think they're going to deteriorate as the tournament goes along. I don't think these pitches are going to stay together like that. I think the way they need to play, that match could be a possible match that we do play one spinner. But if the wicket's going to turn, if it deteriorates more, and it's going to turn, then we need to play two spinners. Unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately, I think that's just how it should be. You play the conditions, first and foremost. Any plans? There are plans for 8 tours. They haven't been confirmed yet by CSA, but there are plans for 8 tours. Can our top 6 take us all the way? I believe they can, especially with the way things are happening at the moment. It's very, very possible. Because it's not like everybody hit form in the first two matches. Like the guys that are in form, like what we could see, which is a possibility, is in this first 3 matches so far, in this first 2 matches so far, it was Aiden and Quinny and Rassi that kind of looked really good. But mainly Aiden and Quinny that took us over the line with a bat. Then what could happen is if when they lose a little bit of form, which is bound to happen, I doubt they will score 900s in a row, because clearly I don't think that's ever been done in the history of cricket, or 9 milestones in a row. I don't think they'll do that. They are going to lose form. So it actually sets it up beautifully that Klaassen, Muller, Temba can step up in the next match. It like they would complement. It would complement the situation where we get little cameos from Quinny and Aiden and Rassi, and then Temba steps up with a massive 100, and then you've got David and Heinrich to really take you and push you past the line. So the way our batters are falling into form, or what's happening at the moment, the procedure seems to make sense. And if you're going to logic it out, which cricket is not a game that you can logic out. Um, so yeah, but if you had to logic it out, that would be the case. Chennai and the class will be key. We need everyone top six is not enough. My mistake by Quinny Williamson out like 5 for 12 runs. Tahir apples, but Quinny big mistake he did. I don't know what you're saying, Saif. Where you see Brevis in SA batting lineup in the future? I think him at number 3. We can't depend only on the batsman. Yep, we can't, and the bowlers did well yesterday. We will do an Arsenal 2004, Khalid. Let's see. Undefeated. Quinny heard you and scored runs again next match. Yeah. I hope so. Because that normally happens. We talk about it on the show, and then Quinny goes. Normally, when we criticize Quinny, I don't think he watches the show, but for some reason, we criticize Quinny, and then the next game he plays after we've spoken about him, he goes and scores runs. But Quinny's brilliant this World Cup. But his whole attitude is different. His whole mentality, attitude, the way he's batting is different. He's just looking mature and ready for this World Cup. Is Brevis going to play against India after World Cup in December? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. If they're going to reset this team, which players survive? Are they going to start building for the 2027 World Cup and start bringing in younger players so that who they feel will be in the 2027 World Cup squad? I think Rob will probably, and Enoch and the guys will probably start planning now already for that 2027 World Cup after this World Cup is done. I hope Temba Vuma win the toss in the upcoming match because he normally loses the toss. Sad to hear that time cricket is no longer played at Kayamajolo. Time cricket is no longer played at Kayamajolo, according to Mikhail. Yeah, it was very sad. Something that I wrote a piece on cricketfanaticsmag.com about it, and the importance of 4-day cricket, because these players will really learn a lot from playing 4-day cricket. It will really mature them faster. Khalid, what do you think about Patrick Kruger? Oh, I'm in contact with Patrick Kruger. We're going to be setting up a interview soon. I think he's a brilliant batter, brilliant all-rounder, but particularly I like his batting a lot. Very destructive, and it's great that he's coming into form. I want to see South Africa in chase this World Cup. Under the radar performance from Ngidi, kept things simple and tidy. Was brilliant yesterday. I think he was the best bowler yesterday, in my opinion. Say some words about Temba batting struggle. No need to say anything about his batting struggle. He doesn't really look like he's struggling. He was looking pretty decent, but then first game got a good delivery. Second game he tried to push the game on because it was stagnating a bit, and he tried to go for it, which is not necessarily always in his game. And he went out. He got a good catch on the boundary. Sharaj, Patrick Kruger is an underrated cricketer. I think he is. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, share, subscribe. Click that notification bell for all future videos, please. I'd also like you guys to please subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine Monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. And we get a couple of new comments that came in right now. I wonder what Shukri is thinking in terms of New Zealand tour selection. He knew this was coming for a while, so I think he's been preparing for some time, but we also had to see what the SA20 dished out. He's lost Carl Verreynne to the SA20. Thank you, Werner. I'm just kidding. And and he lost a couple of guys like Jason Smith as well to the SA20. So he's gonna have big decisions to make on who's the next in line. Did you see Donald supporting the Springboks with his socks? Thanks for the show's thoughts on rugby. Oh, the only thing I'm worried about with South Africa, like literally with the rugby team, is our kicking. It bothers me that we're so poor at kicking for goal, which is something that you can practice to be good at. Like you literally, there's no pressure necessarily other than the scoreboard, making sure that you get to kick over. Like you can practice to be good at kicking. It's not like you can't practice that. So repetitions. And I don't understand how our kicking's been so poor, because we can't continuously go into matches and losing so many points, like missing out on so many penalties. That's the whole reason why we lost to Ireland. I mean, I didn't even think Ireland played that well, to be honest, against us. We lost that game because we couldn't convert our penalties. So yeah, the rugby, I'm excited about the Springboks. The France game is going to be a tough one, but I think the Bokke can do a job there and make another semi-final, hopefully. After the World Cup, Temba, Quinny, Rassi, Miller, Keshav, Shamsi out. Sure, bold statements. Quinton de Kock has scored 19 ODI centuries. That shows the quality. He's a brilliant batter. I have nothing against Quinny de Kock. The only thing I wanted to see from Quinny is the ICC events, and he's doing it now. Temba is the weakest one. What? What are you even talking about, bro? He has the highest average in the team, or second highest average in the team. Like maybe in T20s, bro, but no, in one day cricket he's not our worst, he's not our weakest player. Definitely not. Do you think considering New Zealand tour, SA should play some fringe players also in test? I don't think we should play fringe players in any in the New Zealand tour. Do you think considering New Zealand tour, SA should play some fringe players also in India test? I don't think fringe players are necessarily fringe players. That's an interesting question, bro. That's a very interesting question, because it would be weird to do that, to play because the team that's going to New Zealand aren't even going to be an SAA team. They're gonna not even be an emerging team. They're gonna like be below an emerging team. Some of the players that are going to get selected, because majority of the SA8 guys have been picked up in the T20, in the SA T20. You'll have like your main guys that are first team players like Dean Alga and Tony DeZorzi, that will be available. But the rest of the guys that are SAA won't be picked. So it will most likely be an emerging side that gets picked. The ones that didn't get picked up in the SA20, which is crazy. Do you consider Temba Bavuma weakest? No, I don't. His, his average is ridiculous in one day cricket. I don't understand how people are so against Temba. We mustn't mix up formats, please. Harley, brother, do you think David being in contention? I do. Personally, I think so. But we're going to have to wait and see what Shukri thinks. Why does Aditya no longer come? Because Aditya has been busy with a lot of things at the moment. He knows about the shows. He did tell me that he'll message me when he can come on. He knows he's always welcome here. A very good friend, and he's been my co-host on other shows. So he's always welcome on the shows. I never will say no to him. So yeah, he told me he will let me know when he has some free time to be able to come on shows, and he'll try his best to do so when he can. So yeah, it's not because of me, guys. It's not because I'm shunning him or telling him not to come on. None of the guys actually. I've put out the stream. I've put out the links to the stream. They know that they can message me at any time if they are watching. You guys know you can message me at any time if you want to come on. They know the times. They know I do a daily show at 7. So if they want to come on, they will, and if they're free, they will. So yeah, don't think that I'm like saying, guys, trying to stop these guys from coming on the shows, because I'm not. I am from Lucknow and I should not watch SA match, and I could not watch SA match. Okay, Timba, why, bro? How come? That's an interesting statement you made. How come you couldn't watch it? Do you guys have like? Would like to know. Is it because of? Yeah, just explain it. I would like to know. Temba Boom is good form in bilaterals, but in World Cup, I'm still not sure about Temba. Okay. That's why I mean playing some New Zealand tour should squad in the India test to give them time while playing with seniors and getting used to international cricket. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who they do that with. I think the first and foremost that want to win that series, Khalid, where you born? Cape Town, South Africa. Any problems in leg spinners after Shamsi? There aren't many. Um, really, I mean, there are getting opportunities at least at domestic level. There aren't really a lot that we can roll off the tongue. We don't necessarily produce a lot of leg spinners in South Africa, and it's largely due to, I think, our wickets at school level and our wickets um, at the grassroots level upwards. The spinners are very low commodity. So if I 80-20, I want New Zealand versus Brazil semi-final and absolutely destroy New Zealand. Night, New Zealand. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. As I said, please subscribe, do all of those things, smash the like button, and I'll see you guys again very soon for another preview show, probably ahead of the game against New Zealand. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend, and you have some fun and you go out there and you do a lot. What are your thoughts on the Israel war? I think it's disgusting what's happening there. Absolutely disgusting. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace out, everyone.